Offset has been making his rounds because he's dropping his latest album, he stated that marriage is not for men.
Marriage is definitely the way to go. It's the quickest way to build wealth.
You hurt, bruh. Marriage doesn't work out for men who do it the way you did it.
If you're a man who's been married before, had the kids thing, right? And now you're looking at life, maybe marriage isn't for you, and that's okay.
So Umar is talking to Nick Cannon, and he's like, yo, I got at least 2 of my beautiful queens. We could have been married, but they couldn't be patient and wait.
If y'all think that just because a man got you pregnant is going to equal marriage, I don't even think that's a real thing in 2025.
The reason why we have timelines, because we have women out here who've been with the same man for 10, 15 years and still ain't got no ring.
A lot of men are finding out women can fake it for a while, but if you don't give her what she wants and you wait long enough, you should stop faking.
Do you believe that when men file for divorce, it means that shorty had to be a piece of shit? Welcome to the season premiere of the BLC Pod. Y'all thought I was going to start off classy because I got a little tuxedo shirt and everything. Welcome to the season premiere. You already know what time it is, you know what I mean? And I got all my people with me.
Yeah, we all up in here. People.
Listen, you know we peoples because we missed each other for real. Aww. Right? We was talking to Del. It's like, yo, man, so many things happened. I wish I could have talked to y'all. We missed you too.
Yeah.
Del, right? Listen. I don't know if y'all can see the excitement, but the excitement is upon us, right? Season 5 was amazing. Shout out to season 5. Shout out to the off season. Shout out to Crystal and Scorpio Mo. The in-person conversation. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to S&M. Shout out to everybody that's been rocking with us from day 1 to day whatever this is for the premiere of season 6. Give yourselves a round of applause up in here.
Yeah.
Let's go. Woo! Was that a good intro, y'all? Y'all excited?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm excited. I feel like y'all excited. Okay. With that being said, gotta start with the first lady holding it down amongst the bros. SNM Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So super excited to be back for the season premiere. I can't wait to see what's in store for this season. Happy to see you lovely gentlemen once again. And I cannot wait till we get this show popping. And speaking of show popping, somebody else may be putting on the show too. That would be Senator Cory Booker. So congratulations, sir. Congratulations on your proposal. Now let's see you make it to the aisle. Some folks think it's performative. I personally believe in love. So I say congratulations and say, hearts.
Yes, shout out to corny ass Cory Booker. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. But speaking of my guy, you know what I mean? The guy who's the antithesis of Cory Booker. You heard what I'm saying? My guy, Jay, Mr. Good, you know, in the building.
Yeah, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Good Woods is what they call me, Mister, if you're nasty. No, I'm just playing. But it's good to be back, man. S&M stole my news story, man. I want to talk about Cory because, you know, people say that black men don't choose black women, or is it women of color? Because I'm not sure she's black. It doesn't matter. You know, I'm not here to judge him by his blackness. But yeah, Cory, I'm happy. I do think, though, like whoever did y'all dentals or whatever, yeah, y'all should talk to him. He gave y'all the horse fronts or something because the mouths are all wide open every shot. I don't even understand. Like, either you were gasping for air or somebody is hella funny. I need to know who's so funny in y'all couple. Anyway, yeah, man. So we should bring him on the show so they can trip us out. But I'm here for the conversation with y'all, folks. Not Cory, Mr. Looker Booker. Let's do it.
Yes. I mean, why she look like a Dollar General version of Rosario Dawson? I'm sorry, sis. You're still cute, though. I'm sorry. Why we piling on, Cory?
They're trying to see if he look good next to an AOC, like for a running mate or something. It's all political.
Now, listen, I'm not saying that every light-skinned black man with no facial hair is a Cory Booker, but we know one guy who's definitely not that, and that's my guy, Delvin the Looker. Stop playing with him, okay?
Listen, I missed you guys between season 5. I'm glad to be back in season 6. A lot happened. I took my lace front off of this season, so I hope you guys are happy. Got some fun in the sun over the break. Caught up with you guys a little bit. I missed the off season, but that just made the heart grow fonder. Now I'm back and ready and back in action for season 6. Miss you guys, miss the audience. So let's go.
Yes. And listen, we missed the beard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it might take some getting used to. You didn't even check with management.
I did not check with management. That was a staff meeting. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I went rogue.
I mean, we just saw yesterday. You know what I mean? Can you give a brother a heads up? I didn't know this is going to be happening. You know what I mean? I'm like, who is this? You know what I mean? No, but listen, deadass. Okay. I've learned and grew a lot from last season. I just came back from Medellin. It was an amazing, productive trip. But one of the things I learned, and you know, it is unfortunate that one of my favorite people did this right before we started, but it was not towards him because I love him. But like a lot of times, people think they helping you, and they don't be helping you. Okay, like, listen, dead ass. I know that y'all love me. And I know that in your hearts, you think, hey, I'm going to do this thing because it's going to help Nick. Let me tell you right now, don't do it. You know, the best way to help me is to do nothing, right? You know, just chill. I got this, right? Because when you do something and you're not thoughtful of what I got going on, and then you choose to do it, and I got to account for what you're doing while I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's like, wait a minute, I thought you were trying to help. How does adding to my situation help me for real, for real? I only say this because this happened to me so much in Medellin. Bro, I was there for 7 days, and I was surrounded by people who love me and who were trying to help me, but they were hurting me at the same time, and it hurt me to have to communicate this, and I realized there's so many of us out there on our entrepreneurial journeys, on our life journeys, and we got loved ones who think they're helping, and we know deep down they're not. It is hard to tell them that because we don't want to hurt their feelings. Man, fuck that shit. Okay? Fuck that shit. Tell them, you know what? I got this. Just chill. I really appreciate you, boo. Right? It's like you're not helping. You're really hurting me for real. But anyways, I felt like somebody need to hear this. But anyways, with that, speaking of somebody who may think that she was hurting or helping, was she thinking she was helping, but was she really hurting, or was she hurting and thinking they would help? But we're talking about Britney Renner, right? So she's the type of person I'm talking about, right? It's like, anyways, I don't know if y'all heard by now, right? She's out there recording her stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Before we even talk about Britney, I got to say this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. Man, fuck Britney for right now. You know what I'm saying? All this excitement about season 6. It's the first time ever. You know what I mean? Like, subscribe, follow. And we got that merch, y'all.
We got the merch you can purchase.
Brittany ain't paying our bills. So, you know, S&M rocking the woman knees. So fuck that shit. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. So yes, so Brittany Renner recently was on socials going in, I guess, on her baby daddy because he pulled up with his wife to pick up the kid. The kid apparently necessarily didn't want to go, but you know how it is sometimes. She was trying to use that to kind of leverage it. Like, hey, he doesn't want to go with you. She was recording the whole thing, acting like the typical baby mama, adding extra drama to the situation. She started getting mad, bringing up things that had nothing to do with whether or not the kid wanted to go with the father. Like, why does it matter that I did this for my wife? Because she's my wife. You never were that. Like, listen, y'all, anyways, levels. But the point is, like, people were talking about it. Do y'all think that Brittany was out of pocket? I mean, she was Muslim just yesterday. Now she's eating pork. I don't know, man. What are y'all thoughts in regards to Brittany Renner? You know what I mean? Just acting a plumb fucking fool out here. And just in general, in regards to some of these women being horrible mothers, and it always seems like it's the guy who's being a bad baby father. What are y'all thoughts about this?
I think it's ironic that she went out to expose him and exposed herself. I feel like she got, had everything set up for the tape. Oh, I'm going to call him out on what he's not doing. And it's funny, if you let anybody, particularly a fool, speak long enough, they will tell you exactly who they are, and they'll let you know they're a fool. And so as she spoke on, it's like, lady, your gripes are just about what you really care about, which is the money. Like, the child is supposed to be having his time with his dad, and you're wasting the child's time with this. Like, you couldn't call when it was your time? Why on his time? Why on his pickup time? Why now? Why this scene? It's like if people can't make a point, they'll go try to find some zombie mob of sheep people out there to go, bah, and back up whatever they're saying. So they, like, you've seen it. People on Facebook or whatever, they'll do like, hey, I told my wife this. Tell me what you think. Dude, we don't know your wife. We don't know your situation. But now we know her situation. And girl, you flaw. Shame on you. Shame. You're giving all gold diggers a bad name. All of them. Shame on you.
So I'm just going to jump in and say that, yes, she was being toxic. And as a matter of fact, she does give baby mamas a bad name. So when we talk about bitter baby mama, she was giving all that energy of being the bitter baby mama. The problem is folks acting like this ain't who she was. Yeah, she had the little stint where she was fake Muslim, and because she thought she was going to do with Kevin Gates. But then Kevin Gates was like, ha, 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 joke's on you. Even though I gave you 10 grand, you ain't perform your duty. So that's why I had to kick rocks to you. So with that being said, yes, Kevin Gates recently just came out to poop on her. But with that being said, I was like, ma'am, go sit your ass down. Like, let this child have his time with his father, regardless of what the situation may be. He's there. He's been an active part of this child's life. So what? And she was complaining about $11,000. Like, okay, first of all, how many women can say, oh, my baby daddy gave me $11,000? Shut your ass up. Take the money, which you was there for in the first place, and keep it moving. I think part of my other issue, though, is that folks act like she wasn't transactional from the start. Like, PJ was warned, another person who was warned in advance. All the OGs warned about the IG models and stop spraying up the club. And someone didn't listen, PJ, and very other athletes that don't listen to this advice. And then when you get this type of toxicity, knowing that it was transactional from the start, why are you surprised? But I'm actually shocked at the fact that she thought she was going to do something by putting it on the internet. So, ma'am, I'm going to need you to get some self-awareness points because right now you rocking 0.
Yeah, this was a big L for the baby mama delegation. This was a big crash out. You can't expect wife privileges when you're the baby mama. You're like, oh, you spent 11. You only gave me $11,000, and you got her a new Porsche, a new Bentley, or whatever. You're like, yeah, it's my wife. I mean, come on, man. You just like complaining about the bonus the C-suite got, and you're in the mailroom. Like, come on, man. We got to be serious about this. This is not good. But to your point, SNM, not only did we try to tell them about it, Britney Renner herself told us about it. Matter of fact, she wrote a book about it. She did a whole YouTube car video. She said, if you want to come off a check, athletes are dumb. They don't use condoms. Have a baby. Now, what PJ should have done, what the other brother taught us, is pay all your 18 years up front. Let her manage it. You get in front of inflation. That's the new hustle. Do that. But you know what? We are here. So if this new one turns out to end up, crashing out and not working out, just pay all your child support up front, brothers. That's the move when you're an athlete and you got a lot to lose. Upfront payment, child support. That's my take.
Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am very fluent in womanese, right? And there's different variations of womanese, right? Like, it's not all womanese are not the same. Like, some people speak like ghetto womanese, cultured womanese, like proper womanese, right? This is different kinds, right? And I feel like you got to be able to be tapped into the womanese that's being spoken here. And so you can't take what she says at face value, right? That's where the womanese part comes in at, right? So from what I heard, being able to tap in, because I'm very fluent, I heard a woman who was dissatisfied with the amount of money that she's being paid for child support, right? I hear a woman who is just kind of dissatisfied in regards to her station in life, in particular in regards to relationships, right? A lot of times, like when you're in relationships with somebody, you hope they move on with somebody. So when she was with Kevin Gates, maybe that brother PJ had some peace. And so I feel like now that she's no longer with someone, it's like, now I'm looking at my situation. And I mean, if we're being honest, and he's an NBA player, if her kid only got $11,000, I can see why she'd be a little perturbed about that, right? Now, I don't know what she spent, right? The going rate to have a NBA nigga babies is like pretty good. Like, I mean, depending on what state, apparently it is. But I'm saying, like, damn, there was numbers that it was like 2,500. I'm like, nah, that's crazy. You know what I mean? But 11,000 for your child to have in the bank, right? I don't know. It depends on the spending habits. But I think what she is saying is that, damn it, PJ, come on, man, your kid is worth more than that. You know what I mean? You're being very disrespectful. And that's why he don't want to go over there with you. Like, somehow some of these baby mamas find a way to make their issue the child issue is what I'm saying, right? Like, when you can really speak womanese, you realize this whole thing about, he doesn't want to go over there with you. That's bullshit, right? Because the kid's gonna kid, and obviously they may have an attachment to the mom, but ultimately as a father, you gonna work through that because you spend time with them. So for her, she reads the kid does not want to go over there with you because you're not giving us enough money. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad when some of these baby mamas, and this is like really great great example of how they conflate the issue like, oh, because you're not taking care of me or taking care of us in the way that I think that you need to, then you're not shit. And I'm going to alienate you from your own child, right? And because ultimately this is a negotiation because I want more money, right? So I think ultimately once you understand womanese, you know what I mean? And to be fair to Brittany, I don't know if she wrote the book before or after PJ, right? PJ might have been a test case in the book. You know what I mean? He might have been chapter 13, where she showed like, oops, this worked right here, right? So I can't blame PJ, right, for, you know what I mean? He's just a young man trying to navigate. He showed up with his wife. Hey, let me get my kid. He's still responsible. So kudos to him. Maybe not so much on the suck my dick thing, but I get the frustration at the end of the day. So yes, it's bad all the way around. And you're right, make better choices. But at the end of the day, this is textbook womanese for a chick who was in it to be transactional and it's not quite working out the way that she thought. And now she's using her child as a means to use against him in order to express her dissatisfaction with the check. Any questions or are we, you know what I mean? I am fluid.
That's crazy talk right there. That's crazy talk. But unfortunately, I actually have to agree with your analysis of womanese in this particular case because that was 100% womanese taking place where she 100% wanted to say, hey, I need more money. And so so in exchange for your child and your child's time, go ahead and run me that check. And I also feel some type of way that you running this check to your wife in the form of a car, which obviously is transportation, but ma'am, Kevin Gates should have got you that car, okay?
No, not really, because he never married her. But this is S&M. That was her pocket watching. She's like, you spent 170, so you got it. So why don't we have it, right? Like, that's classic, right?
That is a fact. That is a fact.
And it's like, let you tell on yourself when you do that. My son only got 11,000 while you're buying your wife? In what world does that make any fucking logical sense?
Okay.
Right?
But I'm just going to say this. Unless there's anything else, there's something else that don't make any logical sense to me either. And that would be Offset. And so if you guys did not know and haven't heard, Offset has been making his rounds because he's dropping his latest album. And so on his latest round on the podcast, he stated that marriage is not for men, basically, right? So he went around and said that marriage was not for him. He don't encourage anybody to get married. He went on to say that he felt like it was a mission. He completed his mission. He had 3 kids and mission complete. He's all done and don't advise the next generation to do so. And so there's some pushback and from the community in general pertaining to this. But I would love to get your thoughts in regards to his assessment that marriage is not for the men.
Listen, for most guys, especially, I think, guys, average earning, I think marriage is definitely the way to go. It's the quickest way to build wealth, in most cases. In his case, yeah, it may not make that much sense, but I don't think that's a good way to go. Aside from the money piece, you're not going to build Wakanda with a bunch of baby mamas. That's just not going to happen.
You sure?
I'm reasonably certain. I could be wrong. It could have baby mama Wakanda and Britney Renner's in charge of it. But aside from that, yeah, I think for most guys, in most cases, all the measurable metrics show that you generally get better outcomes as a man when you're married. So, at best, I don't think the indictment of marriage, is a cause of poor vetting. That's why people get bad outcomes. But I don't think it's an issue with the institution in and of itself. So I think he was encouraging better vetting, looking into things, asking the right questions. I think that's the better way to go than just, fuck it. Nobody get married and we'll just all be in situationships. I don't think that's helpful because that's what we are now and that's not working out for everybody.
I think a reluctance to really black men to engage Offset in this conversation because we have to give him bad news. You know what I mean? And it's the bro code at its finest, working at its best, because we don't run to tell a bro when, like, man, this look, hey, stop. Although apparently some people did come out and say it because it needed to be said. And unfortunately, I hate to join to the chorus. I'm going to try to find a different chord to strike. And so my chord to strike with Offset is this. You hurt, bruh. You hurt. Marriage doesn't work out for men who do it the way you did it. I think that's a statement you can make. I think anything broader than that is ineffective. I think to all the hurt men out there, your story is valid, okay? Your pain is valid, okay? What you went through, the way she was, everything she did, what you learned, all that's real, bruh. But that's your story, okay? And it's the result of certain decisions that you've made. Now, I made decisions too, okay? But you gotta know when to look at it and go, hey, man, some of this is on me. And I don't think there's enough of that happen. That self-accountability. You know what I mean? Sometimes we pick the wrong one, or sometimes we pick the right one, but we're not ready to be the right person. You know what I mean? He's an entertainer. He's in a entertainment industry that's surrounded with women and all sorts of temptations. And whether even if it's not a rapper, it's a businessman. It's a stockbroker. It's somebody who got his game together, right? Everybody out there is bait for somebody else trying to pick him up, right? And he didn't handle it as well as some of us might have. Maybe he should have worked out a different negotiation contract with his partner or whatever. But for him to make a blanket statement that says men shouldn't get married or marriage isn't for men, marriage isn't really for men. It's supposed to be for both of them. It's really supposed to be for the family. So that's a whole other conversation. So yeah, Offset, you're right, but you're wrong, bro. It's all right. You hurting right now. You can call me. I counsel people. Go ahead, Joe.
First, I want to acknowledge where my good brother Offset is accurate here. I think it's accurate for him to say it's not right for him at this point of his life, right? So if he says, listen, I was married, I had 3 kids, and so I did marriage, I think that's okay, right? And it saddens me because sometimes I speak, I understand Mananese, if that's even a word, if I can make it up, right? Because you got to be able to see past, I think, what he is saying. Now, to you guys' point, the hurt may be part of what he's speaking to, but I think there's some legitimacy in regards to what he's speaking to. Like, for example, if you are a man who is of means, then you might look at marriage differently. And should you? Because there's more risk there, right? If you're a man who's been married before, had the kids thing, right? And now you're looking at life, maybe marriage isn't for you. And that's okay, right? I think what it stems from is this idea that because your marriage didn't last forever, you was a failure. And so now, because you feel like you failed at something while acknowledging that you did it, you want to try to look out for brothers because you don't want them to go through that failure. Right. And I think what we have to be able to do is change the narrative, because let's say they had 10 years, 3 kids, their kids were great, they were able to co-parent. Is that a failure for real? Like, if we didn't look at divorce, I get it. It's supposed to last forever. But I think if we change the sting that comes with divorce, especially for men, because men often shoulder the responsibility of a failed marriage. In this particular case, Offset did, right? Because yes, he cheated, and we can point at his indiscretions, but do we know hers, right? Do you know the arrangement that they had? So for him, he's saying, you know what? Oftentimes it's not a great situation for men and men like me, but I agree that people have to be very thoughtful in regards to their advice or what they're saying, because there's a lot of men who's going to hear him and think he's talking to y'all and he's not. Right? Not only do you not have the same amount of money or the amount of clout, I guess, or claim or access to women, hell, you barely got a woman now. So to think that somehow he's talking to you and he's not, I think that's where these conversations become problematic. But I do think that for him and people of his ilk, people who have been married, men of means, I can see many of them. Oftentimes, I wonder, if I were to get divorced, would I get married again? Because what would be the point if it's not about building family? And if I already have enough money to already create a legacy with the 17,000 kids I already have. So I can totally understand where he's coming from. We got to be fair about that. But we also got to be fair that for a lot of men, marriage is a wonderful thing. And we just got to speak to those men more often than we speak to the other. And that's what I got.
I love that. So first, I want to speak specifically to this situation, right? So I think Offset, of course, is trauma dumping, right? Because he had Cardi B, he fumbled it or fumbled her. And I was going to say fumbled the bag since he's trying to get her bag. But anyways, with that being said, because he fumbled her, he has no choice but to project. So to me, it's a form of projection where he's saying, because it didn't work out for me, because I was a low down, dirty ass dog that constantly cheated and then got held accountable eventually for my actions, he then turned around and said, so therefore you are not ready to get married. Marriage is not for anybody and everybody, but of course it's not if you're not willing to do the work to be in the marriage in the first place. But this actually is interesting to me because it brings a question I want to ask in a second. And so with that being said, Jay-Z, on the other hand, who's still married, because you don't hear Jay-Z coming out saying, hey, marriage isn't for anybody after his, because he grew from his time that he cheated that resulted in eliminating and so forth. So he grew, or they had some type of arrangement to say, hey, this is an empire. You can't rap about building empires and you don't have your queen next to you because you fumbled your queen or your queen decided to leave or whatever the case may be. So like I said, I think this projection, I do agree with Nick and everybody else on the panel that this, to me, this is part of the problem is that young folks will take this as gospel because for whatever reason, we uphold rappers as freaking role models and they're not. And that's the first thing we need to recognize, that these rappers aren't role models. So stop taking this stuff for gospel. But that brings me to this question I would like to ask you guys. And that's, I feel that part of this is because men, if you have not been in a monogamous relationship, men cannot then turn around and get married and expect that switch to flip and say, okay, now I'm monogamous. So my question to the men on the panel, is this a result of him not actually engaging in previous relationship styles where he was monogamous?
I'll take it a step further, actually. I'm glad you said that because I wanted to chime in with this. The same way that culture creates things, right? So let's say, for example, it sexualizes everyone. So women are open to being sexualized, and also men who are already maybe sexualized become even more sexualized, right? Maybe it just speaks to his belief that men cannot be monogamous. Right? Maybe that's the other slice of the conversation, right? For him, obviously, with the access to women that he has, or maybe just because of who he is, he can see that from that lens. But there's a lot of men out here now who maybe one woman ain't gonna cut it. There's a conversation to be had. We've had it before in regards to whether or not monogamy is what men really want, or if we negotiate, or if we don't, we just kind of accept it. And if ultimately marriage is like the ultimate form of monogamy, if he's making the case that most men are not monogamous and therefore marriages do not work out, then I can see where he's coming from. Now, I would still push back on that because to me, the marriage part is to be negotiated. Like this idea that men have to do marriage only one way, I think is the other misnomer, right? And in fact, he's probably the worst person to deliver that message because from what we understand, they had an open enough relationship to where he could have had other women involved in the dynamics because she was open like that. Now, whether or not he wanted to do that on his own and not share, I don't know the particulars, but what I'm saying is most men would be okay with their significant partner who allowed them to kind of have other women. So my point is that I think there is a conversation to be had if he's making the case that he believes that most men, especially successful men, right, in particular, aren't really monogamous, then maybe marriage is a logical conclusion for him to draw that maybe most men should not get into, especially then when you add in the potential financial pitfall. So I'm not, you know what, it's interesting. If he's going there, I can kind of see where he's coming from because a lot of us do like new ass. So.
Right. And I want to pivot back to what you brought up, Nick. And I've seen this in a lot of conversations, especially in the Black community. We have this apex fallacy, like because we pedestalize our celebrities, entertainers, rappers, athletes, and when they bring up something like this, in this particular case, where it's a high-profile guy, very successful, a lot of access, a lot to lose, and he says something like, he's not talking to you, Mr. $50,000 a year guy. He's not talking. Marriage is going to be great for you for the most part. So we have to stop self-inserting. Oh yeah, I can identify with Offset because I live like that. It's a risk for me too. I don't want to split, lose half my stuff too. So we got to really be careful in these conversations, especially with entertainers and celebrity figures, to figure out, look, are they talking to me? Is this something that would realistically happen to me or not? And in most cases, we're just really talking about regular, everyday people that these things happen to. So we got to beware of the apex fallacy.
So what I hear you guys saying, what I think I hear you guys saying is, first, everybody's not going to be in that situation. And that this man, so first, to Nick's point, if he's not a monogamous guy, then you're trying to put a round peg into a square hole or whatever, right? And so S&M's point presupposes that everybody is supposed to be square, right? Presupposes that square would be the norm. However, maybe square isn't the norm, and maybe that conformity has to be worked in over time. You shove something in there, you scrape off the sides till it barely gets in. Yeah, maybe that's what happens in our dating culture or whatever. Maybe it's the idea of how we execute marriage. With going to Delvin's point of, it's all about how you're bringing and how you're presenting into it. I would say, I think that it's a blend. I think that the message is you really have to negotiate your partnership for who you are. And I think that it's funny, the point that Delvin made, everybody's trying to figure it out. Everybody's trying to figure it out. This Offset, he's gone through this marriage thing. He tried doing a big show with her. Like a lot of guys, he's going through the things he's seen other people try. It's not working out. He's trying to figure it out. You know who else is trying to figure it out? Dr. Umar is trying to figure it out. I'm telling y'all, it's a whole thing right now, right? Black men are going through it. We just trying to sort it out. Umar is talking to, I don't know if y'all heard about this. I think y'all, anyway. So Umar is talking to Nick Cannon. And I think it was Nick Cannon. Anyway, so he's talking and he's like, yo, I got at least 2 of my beautiful queens that could have been like married to me right now. We could have been married, but they couldn't be patient and wait. They want to be married right now just because they had my baby. Just because they were the mothers of my children, then they thought we should be married. And he was like, I just wanted them to wait. They couldn't wait, and now they sitting there with their fate. I mean, he didn't say, oh, those are my bars. But what do you guys think? I mean, technically, he dropped it raw. You know what I'm saying? He spit it out raw. I mean, I ain't just talking about like how he got the kids. You know what I'm saying? He gave some real raw truth right there. And the question is he evolving the conversation or are we eroding the conversation? What do y'all think?
Well, hold on. Yes, listen. First of all, I got to be honest, and I feel like some women really need to hear this, right? Because somehow y'all have this clock in your heads that sometimes, and this is just me again tapping into understanding the woman needs thing, because when I heard him say, hey, there were some women I would have married, but they didn't have the patience, how many of us have seen that movie before? And it breaks my heart because some of y'all just be leaving prematurely. And I have to ask myself, what was this timeline based off of? Like, no, dead ass, right? So let's say, for example, you're at a certain age and you have a timeline in your head. Okay, I get that. If I go into your bedroom and you have a little chalk, and by 35, this is going to happen, and you're ready when you were 23, I can see that, right? Because you're committed. You know what I'm saying? Like, but most of y'all don't be doing that. Like, you meet a guy, which y'all really are, is impatient. A lot of times, just because you're ready and you're scared, you want the security of him returning the commitment or the relationship that you want, just because you gave him some because you really liked him, didn't even really think through whether or not he was worthy of it in the first place, but now you're here, right? So assuming that you did, because if you did meet him and you fucked with him and you vetted him, then you would trust that he's the one for you, right? What's the rush? I'm so confused, right? You either knew that you chose well or you didn't, right? Or maybe you chose well and it wasn't about him in the first place. It was about you wanting to get married at a particular time. Make it make sense. It's not like the niggas at the crib playing video games. You see he's outside, right? Was he not worth the wait? I'm so confused. So I get what he's saying in regards to some of those women. Some of y'all ladies out there be leaving y'all blessings for what exactly? Where is this magical, amazing nigga who was gonna show up to pick up the slack when you left the nigga who was showing up and not giving you any slack? Somebody make it make sense. So I just gotta speak to that because my heart breaks for some of y'all bad decision, lonely out there right now, women that I heart for. So let's say that. Now, number 2, okay, I think his perspective might have been, yes, I dropped some kids in them. When I did do so, I could see them being my wife. But guess what? They just had impatience, could not follow leadership, could not sign up for the program, could not submit properly. And so now here I am. So just the fact that I got them pregnant alone is not enough for me to commit to them a certain type of way. And I think people just got to be honest about that, right? Yes, he might have had good intentions. Unfortunately, they were impatient, and what he gonna do, right? Except for be a stand-up nigga, right? And take care of his kids. So, I hear y'all, but if y'all think that just because a man got you pregnant is gonna equal marriage, I don't even think that's a real thing in 2025. So I'm not even mad. I don't even see like what the conversation is about. Y'all don't value marriage, right? And y'all barely value your own bodies, dropping kids out here like it's nothing. So it's like, yes, the math is not gonna math in the world that we live in. I was not being toxic, but I do agree with him that yes, marriage does not mean, or no, pregnancy does not mean marriage.
That means you still wanted to be toxic over there. That's what that was.
Yeah, he had to get it out.
No, listen, if women want to hold babies up hostage for a ring, then do that. but they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just drop a seat anywhere. It's like the garden department at Home Depot.
Lord have mercy.
So, I'm sorry.
Let me just scratch my forehead because I might need some emotional ears versus Woman Niece. I was planning on answering your question in Woman Niece, the first part of it, which is why do women have timelines? The reason why we have timelines because we have women out here who've been with the same man for 10, 15 years and still ain't got no ring. And common law no longer matters in some states.
Y'all been with him for 6 months, S&M. These
No,
women be in a relationship for 6 months. Talking about
I'm not saying Dr. Umar. I'm saying why some women don't have a time frame because one, you have some women who've been out there for 10, 15 years with the same guy, no ring in sight, got 15 kids, okay, 3 to 5 kids, but no ring in sight. And then when they finally do get the ring, they get divorced shortly after. So anyway, the second thing is you have women who have kids with a man and no ring in sight again. And the minute they break up, 6 months later, he marries somebody else. The third reason is because nowadays we have dating coaches that are telling women that you should be married within 1 to 2 years after meeting your partner and without actually putting any type of context behind that to say why you should be married and the proper vetting skills. And yes, my voice did change for that because it's not knocking dating coaches per se, but at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you and for yourself. But if you want to follow the dating coaches, bam, there you go. So I wanted to answer your question before I go on into my response. And I just want to make sure we got the womanese part out of it.
Oh, no, you killed it. You killed that. You was on point with that. Go ahead, girl. You got it. I'm going to just shut my mouth.
So now in regards to him specifically, I'm going to agree with him to an extent, right? And the reason why is because nowadays we do have to recognize that we women, we've made it too easy for men. We've made it too easy to drop the seed off, to spray up the club, drop the seed, plant it, and then bring forth a baby without putting any boundaries or requirements in place in the first place. So if we don't want to be left holding the baby, then stop letting them spray up the club. Like put some protection in place. It's actually not that hard to have protection in place simply to protect your womb. Because nowadays we see, especially in this day when we have so many different options for protection, like, come on, stop. You knew what you was doing when you allowed him to spray up the club. You thought you was going to get the baby because he was a stand-up hotep. Now, let me just stop because I know some folks don't like hoteps. So, but he was a stand-up individual. Oh, no. Oh, Delvin telling on himself. Look at that. But anyways, he was supposed to be a stand-up individual all about boom, Black family, Black power and everything. So you thought that you was going to get this ring because you got his seed and you was like, oh, he's going to take care of my seed. He's going to marry me. And you thought wrong. So that means you didn't vet him properly and understand his mentality, his framework, or his style to even fully understand that he was not ready for marriage. And so if you would have took the time to get to know him better, then perhaps you would have ended up with his seed and no ring. With that also being said, for in general, please stop assuming a baby equals commitment to you. The baby just equals commitment to the baby. Does not equal commitment to you. It does not result in a ring to you. There are a lot of women who assume that they can trap a man with a baby and say, oh, this is going to guarantee that ring. It's not. All it's going to guarantee you is late nights, diapers, and maybe an active father, depending on the person's disposition in life, right? So please stop assuming that. He's right. As far as the question that Jay asked pertaining to the community, is this the standard we want? No, we don't want this as the standard, but we're already here. So how are we going to we already put the cart before the horse. So now we need to reverse the order some way, some shape, somehow by having conversations like this. But that starts with you protecting your womb. And it starts with men practicing seed control, right? Stop spraying up the club. Women, stop allowing the spraying up the club. And we won't be having conversations like this because ultimately, if we're supposed to be building family to build community, then we got to start somewhere. And that starts with you taking responsibility. And I'll end there.
So, Delvin, I'm going to rephrase the question. You may have lost it and all that. The question is, Dr. Umar says, pregnancy does not equal marriage. Do you agree or disagree, sir? Where do you stand?
It does not. And you know who decided that? The ladies. I'm going to hold you accountable in season 6. You know why? Because I am pro marry before you carry. But the lady decided, no, we want to, even though we have 25 forms of birth control, we still want to get made single mothers by the Grand Rising Queen delegation, the Hotep brothers and various other brothers. That's just not the price of marriage anymore. To Nick's point earlier, holding the kid hostage. Listen, if you want to shoot up the club, if you want to feel all the fullness of my glory, then you have to marry me. Those days are over. You're about 40 years too late. Umar said, listen, I told you I'm going to marry you after I open the school. You being impatient. He told you that up front. And you thought I can weigh him out. Okay, the school isn't open yet. I'm getting a little up in age. Let me go ahead and try to trap him with this baby. And it didn't work out. You knew exactly who he was. Like in most cases, the guy's not gonna, put the ring on the finger, or you have it already. Marry before you carry. You guys decided you didn't want to do that. So that's where we are. And I'm here for it. I'm here for the jokes. That's how I see it.
That's cold. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's cold because you completely let the men have no responsibility in shooting up the club. But I understand because she got to carry the baby that ultimately she should have made the proper decision and made sure he was protected. I get it.
And listen, we knew because Trump is back in office. He told the ladies, look, I'm cutting you off all the EBT and the welfare, all the decisions or the Supreme Court. He said, nut in me daddy season is over. They knew that.
But he's also stopping women from having abortions and so forth.
Yes.
We don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Well,
I'm just going to say, sir, stop. Jay, it's on you.
All right, so you guys have covered a broad swath of this. You're coming from a bunch of different angles. I think it's really simple. I think that if you analyze the man they were trying to get, then you see that they didn't. Okay? Dr. Umar, I think he's poly anyway. But even if he wasn't poly, as a man in the relationship, he needs to set the tempo for the relationship. He cannot allow his partner to set the tempo for the relationship, because if he does, now she is leading the relationship, right? And that can cause all sorts of problems, and particularly if he is the type of man who espouses the beliefs that he's espoused in terms of a man's leadership in the household and his vision and executing the mission, right? So now, if it's two women, he can't let either one of them dictate the tempo, because then that would be disharmony in his future poly situation. You know what I'm saying? All he wanted was to vet them, and he did vet them. And what he found was they were impatient, because you know what? A lot of men are finding out women can fake it for a while. They can fake it for a while. They can fake it if they're getting what they want. But if you don't give her what she wants and you wait long enough, then she'll stop faking it. Or if you do give her what she wants, and yes, then she'll stop faking it too. But anyway, my point, I digress. That's some real stuff I just gave you. But my point here is I don't think that what he's doing is wrong. I think, listen, ladies, if you decide that you are going to gamble, right, and gamble in the bed for a baby, trying to get the bag, and they're going to try to finesse that bag into a bouquet for a bigger bag, okay? Don't be mad if you get left like a bum on the sidelines because you couldn't hold it down. You couldn't hold on to your investment, right? Until it was time to cash out. You cashed out too soon. Yeah, you bought wherever you bought and you sold low. That's your fault. You should have stuck it out. You could have been like that one girl. Well, it was several different girls at different parties, but there's always one girl at a party who is the last chick standing. She will stay and help you clean up. She will let everybody go. She'll call people taxis and everything because she knows there's value in being the last woman standing. I'm not telling women to just wait on any guy, the Pookies, the Ray Rays, whatever. But if you were a man who has a vision and a mission and a plan and a tempo and you see him moving, please do not slow him down with your need for this melodrama Hollywood romance story you got worked into your head. We'll shoot it, but not on your time, not on your schedule. We'll shoot it when it's time for it to be in the movie. Y'all go ahead, man.
Yeah, listen, I do want to say this so I could be not toxic. This is my anti-toxic conversation, right? Because y'all, like, having a kid is not a small thing. Like, nobody's saying don't go out there and get your fuck on. I mean, some people are saying that. I'm not saying that, right? And to be honest, like, having a kid isn't the easiest thing to do. Like, I feel like the perception is every time you fuck, you're going to have a kid. That's not true. Like, shorty got to be ovulating. There's a little bit of science that goes to it. So imagine how reckless you got to be if you're just shooting at the club at the most inopportune times. That probably means you're shooting up the club a lot and you're not even thinking about the consequences of that. Like, I'm talking about creating a whole other person. There's a lot of less significant things that you can do, like on some bullshit, right? And including sex with protection or birth control. So I get it. Like, so honestly, nobody's saying don't have sex. But I do think if you're talking about having a kid and you're intentional, wouldn't you want to do it in a relationship with someone that you're committed to for life? right? Not saying they're always going to work out that way, but at least did I vet this person? Do they have good genes? You know what I'm saying? Right? Because that's important too. Does he got good credit? Like whatever you need to identify a human being that when it comes to like navigating life, which includes finances, et cetera, right? Spirituality, maybe growth, evolution, communication, emotional intelligence, like all this. I know it sounds hard, right? Like managing a relationship with another person, right? It sounds hard. But you want to do that with a child that you got to also feed and clothe and take care of. Like some of this stuff makes sense. So ladies, if you can't see yourself finding a man, why you want to create one? I'm just curious. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Right? And fellas, come on, man. I get it. We ain't got to carry the baby, right? To SNM's point, I'm going to speak to the fellas. We ain't got to carry it, man, but we got to carry the knowledge that we created a life that we no longer have control over, especially without the custodial parent. And what's worse is that if you made the wrong choice, you ain't got to pay for it. It's almost like the guy who's held hostage and he's not going to turn, and they find his wife and kid, and then they use, it's like, bruh, your kid going to be held hostage, and you sit here complaining about it because you fucked a terrorist with no condom, and now it's like, oh my God, I can't believe Osama bin Laden is doing this to me. You know what I'm saying? You should fucking run into a goddamn building with your suicide bomber ass at this point. But my point is that no, guys, you can fuck and withdraw before you ejaculate. It's called the withdrawal method, right? It's not that hard. The more you practice it, the better off you can be about it, right? That's one. They got condoms. You know what I'm saying? Slip a player B in her drink the next morning. Hey, baby, I got you some coffee. I'm saying you gotta get creative. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Refer to the disclaimer.
You know, at week 13, she might take a spill down some steps. I'm just playing. There's a lot of things that has to, all I'm saying is there's a lot of things that have to happen before that child comes into this world, and both people should be responsible enough to not do that if they don't want that. And if they do want that, it should just make sense to try to do it with somebody who can help you, like a built-in babysitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you've had enough, here, nigga, you hold the baby, right? Why do y'all do this to yourselves? It's crazy. But go ahead. I agree, Dr. Umar. Just because I dropped some seed in her doesn't mean I got to buy the farm. I could just come back there every now and then and visit my little plant and keep it moving. But y'all got it.
You know who else wishes we would keep it moving? Sadia Khan. She wishes we would just leave her alone. She is, in case you haven't heard, caught up in quite a bit of a scandal right now. She is allegedly the side piece to a high value man in Dubai, and he is engaged, and his soon-to-be wife is her and the Saudi are beefing back and forth. There's a 22-minute call with them going back and forth with each other, and Saudi is crashing out a little bit, and she's, of course, a very famous podcaster, psychologist, gives a lot of dating advice, a lot of relationship advice, how to get a high-value woman, how to be one. So the question is, does her being a side chick kind of taint her relationship advice that she gives to not just women, but to men also? Because, look, be honest, her target audience is mostly men. She's very easy on the eyes, and she has a British accent, which I'm very susceptible to. So does being a side chick to a high value man also make you a high value side piece?
Oh, so I gotta speak on this because we talked about it in pre-pro, and I was really excited to talk about it because I think we're looking at this all entirely the wrong way. Because so if her conversation is about knowing high value men and what they desire, I think being a side piece to one qualifies. And in fact, if you really think about it, she has a vantage point that even the wife doesn't. Let me tell you why. Because in many cases, a side piece obviously knows about the wife and knows the areas with which the wife is failing in the relationship, hence her existence. Or maybe she just understands that certain men are going to have a predilection for that side thing. And so maybe there's nothing wrong with the wife, but she serves a different position and she has the vantage point of not, like I said, seeing both situations. So why would she not be able to advise women, maybe women who aspire to be wives. Hey, here's the things that you should be because, hey, low key, the ones who aren't that got me there being that for him. So I think, people want to do these gotcha moments because, hey, you're a side piece. That means you're not high value. I don't believe that. There is a such thing as high value side pieces. In fact, some of them serve relationships in God in ways that some of y'all high value women don't even understand, right? Because y'all wouldn't be high value without the relationship with which you pin that value on. And some of y'all are only in that relationship, you guessed it, because of that side piece. You know what I'm saying? It's like the person who has a job and they can do about 70% of it. You got to bring somebody else in, you know what I'm saying, to effectively do the other 30%. Now, if you're a high value person, and let's say you got a high value wife, what you gonna do? Go out there and get you a non-high value side piece? That don't even make sense, right? I mean, if everything in your life is of value, why would your side piece be of value? So I do get that people want to have these gotcha moments. A lot of people probably hating on her because maybe they feel like she had a pick-me-ish type of conversation. So, hey, let's get you here. And yes, she was out of her body a little bit. But listen, when you live the side piece life, there's a risk of having that conversation with the wife. There's a risk of certain things. Right? I mean, she's doing God's work, and sometimes it comes with risk, right? And so I understand that everybody's getting off on that, but I don't think that takes away from the fact that she is uniquely positioned to not only be with, cultivate relationships with high-value men. So yeah, I think that gives her credibility, right? And then the fact that she's a side piece, did she say anything against side pieces? Did she say that you can't be high-value and a side piece? Right? And here's the catch-up for the fellas,
Nothing I
right?
could find, by the way. Nothing I
Right?
could find.
But think about this, right? Like, so does the high value man still get to be high value if he has a side piece? So let me get this straight. He still gets to be high value, but because she's a side piece, she can't be? I mean, I don't know. I feel like just off the strength of him, you know what I'm saying? She might be able to lean on some of that high value, just like the wife. But I'm going to let y'all go ahead and go, man, before I keep the party going.
Okay. S&M, you want to stand there for your side? You want to speak for women? Because I feel like it's going to be one side of S&M.
I was going to jump in because I was like, Nick, you are on a roll today. Because first of all, you can't be a high-value side chick. You can't be the backup plan and consider yourself the prize. Because basically she's saying these high-value women are supposed to be the prizes to these high-value men. So if she's claiming to be the prize
I haven't
herself,
heard that from her. I have not heard. The conversation from her is that men are the prize, low-key. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, so she do... So I haven't watched a lot of stuff, so I will say that she do believe that the men are the prize, but she's also stating how women should be high value to these men, right? So this is what I would say is this. To me, if you're the side chick, you obviously not high value enough to take the number one position of wife, unless you're planning on becoming the wife number two, because you say he's a Saudi, so maybe there's opportunities for her to be wife number two. And if so, then kudos to her. She's working on her position and her role to be wife number two. Kudos. If they in a poly, but which apparently is not the case, because apparently there was back and forth between the wife and her. So that's not the case. But if it is, hey, kudos to her. She played her position. She played a role, and she may get the ring or whatever she want from it, because at the end of the day, it just makes her a transactional person as well. It's, once again, it makes her transactional. Until she gets some value out the relationship itself, she's transactional. My issue is that she's telling these women that to be high value, you need to have XYZ, present yourself XYZ. And you're right. She may know that because she's telling them how to attract high value men. But at the same time, I feel like that's not how she portrayed herself itself. Like on the show, the little clips that I watched of her, she didn't portray herself as the side chick, right?
That's cap.
And then to find out,
that's cap.
I don't think she portrayed herself as the side chick.
First off,
how would somebody...
Thank you.
Go ahead,
portray yourself. How do you portray yourself as a side chick?
Is there a t-shirt? Yes, you have whole songs talking about I'm the side chick. You have folks talking about you can have him Monday through Thursday, and I got him on the weekend.
You're expecting her to do mocha stuff? It's part of
I'm just saying.
That sounds very low value, actually.
Look, I'm just saying, to me,
very ghetto. Very ghetto.
I'm just saying, like, she's presenting one way, saying one thing, and then in reality, it's not. Wait, you guys are the same people who's clowning Dr. Cheyenne Bryan for having situationships. So how you can clown Dr. Cheyenne Bryan, but you can't clown this woman for being an influencer saying
I
something?
Can explain that.
I am interested in hearing.
Yes. Okay, here's
Please feel
here's
free. I'm
here's the first
interested in
dose.
hearing.
Here's the first dose of explanation. So who she is a woman who is telling people how to be high value. Some say she's telling women, some say she's telling men. But her message is how to be high value, or more specifically, how high value people move. She is doing this at the side of a dude who is some big shot in Dubai, which is where high value people tend to hang out. So maybe she has a little bit of credibility for knowing how high value people move. Okay. Now, so in her, I don't see no contradiction in her message yet. All right. So now then, if you look more in the story, what happens is the dude's fiance gets wind of the text messages between them, and she starts clapping off at Khan. And Khan's like, "Look, I can have your man anytime, right? I can have any man I wanted to in this place anytime." She said, basically, I don't want your man, but I could take your man if I wanted your man." That's what she said.
I could have him on your wedding day.
That's what she said. Any time, any place is what she said, right? And the lady took some offense to that. Now, she didn't say she was a side chick. What she said was, I'm so high value, I could be the side chick in an instant, and you couldn't do nothing about it. Now, so let's talk about what a high value side chick is. There is such a thing as a high value side chick, because just because you're on the side doesn't mean you don't have value. What about think about all the championships the Bulls won. All right, you talk about Michael Jordan, but you need a Steve Kerr. You need a John Paxson. You need a B.J. Armstrong. You need somebody out there on the key you can kick the ball to, can hit that three that really wins the championship. Okay? So while everybody's trying to be Jordan, you can be Jordan, but if you're the only person on the team, you look more like LeBron. I'm gonna stop there because we're in a sports show. Here's what I'm saying. That mentality that women have, that there can only be one, is the reason y'all not winning. Because y'all too busy tripping each other up. That's what I'm saying. She should have been like, thanks for for whatever you're doing to make my man as fire as he is, and say, he's about to be my man, we about to get married. Thank you. You making our man great. Our man is doing big things. I can't wait till we go on a trip with our man, because for whatever's happened, whether she's sharing him or not, they were winning till the wife or the fiance got all catty, and now we all on the internet. So no, she's high value because she's still playing her part. She's not putting that dude business out in the street. She's still doing her job. She's bringing in income. She's working the game. I salute her. If side chicks, you want to be high value, don't be petty like the fiance. Don't be all messy. Okay? Have your hustle, do your grind, and play your position. Play it well. That makes you high value. Go ahead.
I got to push back on S&M before S&M go in depth.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, no, because you're saying that she presented herself as da-da-da-da. No, she was just cute and professional looking and spoke with a very soft presentation. That's all it was. Whatever we throw on people because of how they present is on us. So she could have been a hoe the entire time, but she might have been like a sophisticated hoe who was getting off this shit. Now, unless you can, I think that's really what it is. If y'all wanted to find a reason, low key, to hate on her for a certain reason, because it's like, oh, look at how she just carried herself.
She thinks she
all
cute.
of a sudden, she was a side piece. Ha ha ha, bitch, you wasn't all that. That's really what it be sometimes if we gonna keep it a thou out, because most guys, we probably don't give a fuck about whether or not she was a side piece or otherwise. In fact, really, girl, get out there to help some of the rest of these side pieces who are not doing it correctly. This is still a market for that.
Yes.
We need to bring back side pieces, okay? Because for far too long, they have been shamed. And here they go, shaming this woman for being a side piece, but not for the fact that she's attractive and she's giving out great advice on how women and men can be and meet and have value. That's some bullshit, man. Go ahead, Delvin, man.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I want to jump in and do some pushback on all of this. So first of all, this is like being the employee of the month, but you ain't got no goddamn benefits. In her case, she said she's cool with not having benefits because she already stated that she can take the man anyways, regardless, and she don't necessarily want him. Okay, cool. But what about the side chicks that's trying to get the benefits? So what's the point of being the employee of the month if you don't got no goddamn benefits from your position? And
if you knew your job,
so
you would know what benefits come with it. If you knew your job. Then
so
you play your position.
I think in this particular case, you guys just got done talking about how folks are always putting themselves in positions that they're not necessarily in. So if we're going to talk to the regular old side chicks, then they're not in the position that she's in. So therefore, I'm just saying that this just seems like bullshit to me off the rip. So you guys are selective. You're 100% selective in who you encourage, who you uplift when it comes to the women and how they present themselves, because it benefits you. And the minute it stops benefiting you, that's when you have an issue. The minute you called out about it, that's when you have an issue. As a matter of fact, I will even go on record and say the fact that we call her side chick was to devalue her right there and immediately. So I would go on record and admit that by calling her side chick, which is a term that I don't know who came up with, we immediately sought to devalue her by calling her that. Because we could have just called her, hey, the mistress. We could have just called her whatever.
No.
But the fact that it was side chick, it was meant to devalue her. So I will go on record and acknowledge that part. But what I'm going to say is, for you guys, ain't y'all part of the side dude delegation?
That was me. I claim that.
Don't you have vested interest to support this shit? I'm just saying. And the whole, there can only be one mentality. I don't have a problem. Like I said, the way I look at it is that if you're going to be on the team, then everybody on the team should know they're on the team. Give them the option to be on the team. If you're going to be a person, i.e. this is your team, then give people the option to be on the team. Obviously, the fiance wasn't aware that she was a team player. Give her the option to be the team player. Now she can decide, hey, yo, this side chick is helping my marriage. Hey, this side chick, hey, you're right. I'm a team player. Let's roll with this because they want the lifestyle or they want the clout or whatever, and fuck the respect, because who the hell needs respect as a woman, even though we're told that we need to respect ourselves and we need to do XYZ to be XYA, whatever the hell. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just pushing back on the fact that you guys are kind of uplifting this, but we're supposed to be a marriage-minded podcast, right? And based on how we all talked about how marriage-minded could be different values, different levels, having that conversation, that negotiation, then why the hell he ain't negotiate with his fiance?
We just talked about how side chicks can save marriages. Go ahead, Delvin.
Why? But once again, you're only talking about the side chick. I'm asking, why didn't he, because you also talk about the negotiation, why didn't he negotiate with his wife that he have this side chick? Where's the negotiation there?
That's a fair criticism, and I have no pushback on you. If you're really this top dog, high value guy, and you're afraid to tell your fiance or wife what it is, that's weird. I can't get down with that. Don't disagree with you. However, she is not an employee. She is a contractor.
She's a 1099.
You get 1099. You got to provide your own benefits. And, if everything goes right, we might rehire you again for another contract. We may extend the contract. You're a contract worker. The wife is the employee. Okay. That's how that goes. So the analogy was a little off, but I see where you were trying to go with it. And Nick, also put in the BLC dictionary, we will no longer call them side chicks. We will call them marriage assistants. That's what we want, marriage assistants.
I concur.
I felt like SNM was doing a lot of reaching to form an argument here. It was like, I'm just trying to pull everything. And if you feel this way about marriage, you should. I was like, girl, what does that have to do with what we're talking about here, right? Now, listen, I'm married by any means, right? And what I'm just trying to say is that there's a lot of times where, marriages are assisted by side chicks, right? And I feel like, one of the reasons why I push back on some of these ideas is because it's like, once we take hold of them, it's hard to see beyond that, right? So if we just think that, because you are a side chick, you're not high value, I just don't think that's a worthy thing to hold on to, because why not? Then you have to ask yourself, I feel like you have to bend yourself or stretch yourself or put yourself in a pretzel to try to reach for a reason why a woman may not be high value just because she's on the side. Right? Assuming, let's say they all know of what's going on and she's doing a great service and she ain't fucking everybody. Her body count is mad low, right? She makes her own money. She's very attractive. Like, she's not valuable. Like, maybe we should define what valuable is. And to be honest, S&M, you say, well, guys, when it's up to you and it benefits, who's the person placing the value? Who is the person? You think it's you placing the value? You think it's the fiance placing the value? Absolutely not.
No, it's
us.
Me.
It's us as men. We reserve the right to place value on side chicks. We get it. Y'all not gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all like competition anyway. But the point is,
the wife goes, I assess your side chick as low value.
Yeah. And here's what gets me. And here's a funny thing, right? If a man cheats and he cheats with a chick who is high value, that woman is less likely to leave. Let me say that again. If a man, you almost low-key would know she's high value if she stay. You know what I'm saying?
Or she stay because she got kids.
Because he is not going to let no better bitch take her man. Okay?
That's a fact.
Come
and
on.
Look, here's the thing to S&M. She's a fiance. She could leave right now.
And she's not.
And she's
why?
not.
You know
Because she's
why?
fighting for it. Just like you say, women don't like competition. She's fighting for her man.
Because
Wait,
she
does
sees
that
the
make her a side chick?
value in the other woman. That's why. Sorry to pull that Trump card on you, S&M, but y'all will tell on yourselves in regard. And here's what's fucked up for men. If you cheat down, she might hold that against you.
Mm-hmm.
Like low key, you got to cheat up just to kind of, have a little leverage still.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And apparently he did that, right? So I'm going to push back on you guys, right? Because this idea that men got to do it your way, I'm going to push back on that too. Okay? Men have been lying, have been withholding the truth, have been out here cheating successfully for years. And for y'all to bring in your morals while claiming you don't do a thing, how, Sway? Right? If you ain't got to cheat, kudos to you, my guy. Okay? I'm either saying, okay, if that's the right word. But this brother, Khan's old boy, he's living his best life. Who are we to judge him?
He's sitting
Judge
back watching his laugh.
lest ye be judged.
Not biblical. We didn't get biblical.
But you know what's funny?
I hope not, considering the Bible say thou shalt not commit adultery or fornication. So hopefully we're not getting
Are we doing? If we're doing Bible scripture, the wedding bed is undefiled.
They're not married.
Oh, then that's not even adultery. Ooh.
It's fornication, which is also if we're talking about the Bible.
You're right. That's different. It is.
Dang.
I mean,
now, if you get married and then have sex with other people.
And listen, all fun aside, because I feel like we kind of got lost in the sauce here. But I think you brought up Cheyenne Bryant this episode or maybe previous episodes. There is a larger question, though. So I think we can agree, or most of us can agree, that she probably has enough experience to where she can be credible for the topics that she speaks on, for the most part, right? Maybe there's some areas that maybe it's questionable. I'll give you some of that S&M just because you're my sister and I love you. But in truth, we can maybe land there, right? But I guess my question for y'all, though, is this, because we were talking about this as far as podcasts. So some of these people aren't living these things, right, at all, right? You got people who are faking it. Derek Jackson comes to mind very quickly to me, like people who are saying one thing, but they're living the complete opposite. They've never had any real experience. You mentioned Cheyenne Bryant, S&M. Many guys feel like, hey, how you going to tell people about healthy relationships while you over here, dipping and dabbing and having a little cutty cut? But the point is, what are your thoughts in regards to this idea that the people who are giving this advice you got to live your raps? I feel like it's like a hip hop. Somewhere along the way, everything became, you got to live your raps. So do y'all agree that the person has to live their raps in order to be credible?
I definitely think it helps to have the thing you're telling people how to get, especially if you're making money off of it. You're selling courses. People are really paying to hear what you have to say. I mean, if I'm going to go to the gym and I get a trainer, I'm going to need my trainer to have some muscles. To show, okay, you know what? He's got the thing. He knows how to get the thing I want. I'm going to pay attention to them. I think it definitely lends to your credibility if you have the thing you're telling people how to get. That's my take.
I think Delvin makes a good point. I think that the whoever brings the message should be, you're the first person who got the message. You should have been the first person who activated the message, whatever the message is, right? If you're the one bringing it and if it's so good, then why? It's like if everybody's sick and you got the antidote, don't run to the room and go, here's the antidote. You should have been the first person who took it. I mean, save some for everybody else, but if it's really the antidote, why haven't you taken it? So I get that argument. At the same time, though, right? I don't have to have perfected a thing to tell you, hey, this thing has been working for me. And just because I tell you it's working for me doesn't mean I'm telling you it's working for you. I'm just telling you what worked for me. How else will you know what your other options are if people don't tell you what worked for them? If I'm over here talking about poly and LS stuff or whatever, and then, down the street, I'm on somebody's pulpit talking about, one husband, one wife, premarital sex is going to make you turn blue, whatever I'm doing, right? That's a problem. It's a problem because I've got one life, one being, two minds, two messages, right? Two modes of being. Okay, whatever. But if you are saying something and you're trying to live out whatever your expression is, your failings or your shortcomings do not invalidate whatever you're trying to do because you're still trying to do it. Just don't be going the opposite direction. That's all I'm saying. So no, Nick, I don't think we should. I don't think we should go through a fine-tooth comb through everybody's life, because all of our lives have discrepancies that don't necessarily measure up with who our character is right now, because we've grown, right? Maybe we've changed. Maybe we've evolved. Or maybe we're still evolving. So nah. But that being said, you can't be the opposite, because that's just phony. I mean, something about it got to be consistent.
I think that for the most part, this reminds me of studio gangsters, where rappers are rapping about being gangsters and shit and they in college, or they're rapping about being gangsters and selling drugs, and it turned out they was a prison guard and just co-opted somebody else's lifestyle. And so I think that these
Who could she be
studio
talking
gangsters,
about? Oh my God.
No.
I think this is a clear example of studio gangsters. And the problem is when you have studio gangsters, the young folks or the next generation, they believe this shit is real. They take it for truth and they run with it. And so if we truly want to uplift the community, we got to have people who are practicing what they're preaching. And if you can't practice what you preach, then shut the fuck up. And recognizing, like Jay said, that we're all humans, right? We all have growth processes. We all evolve. Then giving grace for when that person who started off practicing what they are preaching, but then fell off. Okay, cool. We can give grace for that because we all mess up, right? But if you're constantly saying you need to do this, and this, and then it turns out you ain't done none of that. You say I need step 1, 2, 3, 4, and you still on step 0. So what gives you the right to tell me to do step 1, 2, 3, 4? And more importantly, why should I listen to you tell me do step 1, 2, 3, 4? It may sound good, but is that sounding good because you're looking at other people's experiences, which I support, because you can learn from other people's experiences. So I don't want to take away any of that. You can learn from other people's experiences, but are you now moving to meet steps 1, 2, 3, 4? And if you're not, then you just in for the bag. And considering that everybody just look and listen for some reason, take everything as gospel, I think it's a problem. So yeah, I think you should practice what you preach. I think you should live the lifestyle that you're saying you're living, or at least aspire to live the lifestyle that you're saying you're living. Don't be in those situationships for 9 years, but you telling people about marriage, or and like I said, just all this remind me of studio gangsters for the most part. So I'll give you grace, but only if you move into to practice what you're preaching.
I mean, I guess it's,
All right.
I want me.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess Delvin's good. Okay. I was going to try to make space because I think this shit is lazy. I think we have become accustomed to letting other people tell us stuff because we don't want to do the work necessary to find out shit ourselves. Right? Like, it's like, okay, so somebody said a thing. You have your own fucking mind. You have no ability to discern whether that thing is true or not. You can't cross-reference it with something. No, like, I feel like when I hear the push against the podcast, I'm not saying we do that because obviously, we keep it real, whatever. But the point is that like when I hear the complaint, it's like, good advice is just good advice. Now, if you can't discern it's good advice, okay, if you need the cosign for you to discern it as good advice, I get it, because I could say, oh, do this because I'm married, and you think it's good advice only because I got the cosign because I'm married, but not because it's good advice. There's a lot of people who may be that thing, and you're like, oh, they're that thing, so maybe they know. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're bullshit. Maybe it's front. Maybe they got a situation that's unique to them. So for y'all to look for that kind of validation, I get it, right? Delvin, you mentioned the gym, right? Of course. You wouldn't go to a gym and watch a person who's a slob try to train you on how to work out. I get it. But maybe that person can tell you how to eat better, right? Maybe because they know they've had the bad experience. And so maybe they can tell you that, hey, here's the things that you should be doing. Now, would you not take advice on how to eat better because that person may not have been taking it themselves? And what's crazy is a majority of people do the very thing that we're talking about, which is give advice they don't fucking take themselves. But listen to them, though. They ain't got a podcast mic. I can't tell you how many people I watch and listen to who do not live up to the advice they give. You know how I know? Because I try to as much as possible, right? I actually give you examples in my real life, but a lot of people would tell you shit, and it's like, nigga, for example, do you ever notice how it be the brokest people who be trying to tell you what to do with your money? You ever notice that? It's like, nigga, how are you telling me what I should do with my money when you're horrible with money, right? Right? In real life, it'd be the single person telling you what you should do in your relationship. How many black women fall for that one, right? It's like, girl. So we can't pretend that a majority of us out there, whether it's on podcasts or our living rooms, are getting advice from people who ain't got no fucking business giving advice. So it's not on them, right? It's on you. The information is out there, right? If you just stopped for a second and paid attention, maybe asked a couple of questions, saw a therapist, right? There are ways that you can kind of figure some of this stuff out without believing everything that somebody on a fucking podcast that you don't know told you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you one last thing, right? Because it's not that hard. I forget, there's maybe like a scientific method or something, right? Where you have somebody who gives you a piece of information and then you cross-reference it. See, there's a second thing that confirms that piece of information. And if you're feeling froggy, maybe a third thing, right? And then depending on where it's coming from, you might be more inclined to believe it, right? If it came from the National Enquirer, right, or the magazine about aliens, you might be like, nah. But if it, so that's just how you can kind of like cross-reference information to try to see if it sounds true, right? Y'all always talking about y'all gut feelings and y'all instincts and shit. Where them bitches at? Where are they at? Right? Especially for y'all women who end up being the most victimized by some of this bullshit that is out here in the first place. Right? So do yourselves a favor, man. Look more inward than outward. I think there's a lot of good information out there. I think you should be suspicious of it, but have an internal mechanism that you can discern whether or not it's relative to you, whether it makes sense, whether it's logical. But some of y'all are so fucking mentally lazy that you don't want to do none of that work. So you'll listen to somebody sell you some bullshit of how you can lose weight in 2 weeks and you buy it. That's the culture we live in, right? So we got to stop pretending that we don't look for the quick fix. We don't look for the charlatans because they give us unrealistic promises because we're too fucking lazy to do the real work, which is why those Pelotons sold the way they fucking sold. Or maybe the Pelotons, but the ones that Suzanne Summers was doing the little leg crooks on. They had y'all bitches out there thinking you're going to be fine. And like
Thigh master.
Yeah, the thigh master. You feel me? Anywho's, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all got me worked up. I'm telling the truth today, y'all. Speaking of telling the truth, men who are filing for divorce are telling the truth that many men have known for the entire time. It's low-key the reason why the red pill community exists. To warn men of these piece of shit wives out here that you might find yourself married to. And then you gotta be the 20% of men who file for divorce first, right? Do you guys agree with me? Well, not me, but the topic that we're discussing right now. I'll tell you if I agree later. But do you believe that when men file for divorce, it means that shorty had to be a piece of shit or a piece of work? I mean, because men don't do it, right? It's always women. Oh my God, I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied. I'm not, he doesn't see me. He's not, right? But men, we're not known to just run to the divorce, right? We don't push the button like that, right? I mean, we stick is what they say. So what are y'all thoughts? Like when a man finally is moved to go down to the courthouse and file for divorce, even though 80% of them in the recent conversation suggest women. So for that one guy out of 5 of them who said, man, fuck this shit. You know what I'm saying? Fuck this shit. I am divorcing this bitch now. Is she in fact a bitch? You know what I'm saying? That is the question.
By the time he's gotten there, she might be. You know what I mean? Be honest, she might be. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean she started out that way. She could have started out as Princess Tiana. But by then, yes, she is that beat. I think, though, it does speak to something. I think men do stick longer. I think so when a man has decided to divorce a woman, it doesn't mean she's a POS. But what it does mean is she can't get right. Because believe me, before he goes through all the effort, I've divorced before. So, and I remarried, y'all, so I still believe. But anyway, my point is, before he goes through all the effort of a divorce, believe me, he has tried every other avenue that will not upturn his life because he's been trying to build. If he's a man, right, that he's trying to build. Okay, and he doesn't want to come down from what he's building to deal with this bullshit. Okay? So believe me, if he going down to the courthouse, it means your bullshit is bigger than the other bullshit that he got to stop dealing with to come deal with you. So, and he's done with the bullshit. So yes, if he leaves, there is some shit there. I don't know if she's the piece of shit, but clearly somebody has dropped a piece of shit in the relationship and has refused to pick it up and flush it. And the shit just stinks. Men aren't quick to give up. We aren't. Partly because, like I say, it's not easy to get out of marriages anyway, bruh. They're easy to get into than get out of. We know this. And we've been trying to get to a point where we could stop the negotiation. We thought we had negotiated a contract we could coast on. And then we get in there and this new stuff, add jobs as listed and new jobs, new requirements, whatever. It's cool. Honey-do list. It's cool. But then when we say, hey, these things that I expected of you, that I told you I expected of you from the word go, and now it's your 5th year, 7th year progress review, performance review, and these things still aren't being done and met to satisfaction of quality standards, ma'am, I'm afraid we're going to have a talk. And then you go have a thing. So yes, you can't get right. That's what, not all of you, because let's be honest, everybody has exceptions, but most of y'all, if you done chased a man to divorce you, it's you. It's you, baby. It's you. Watch him get married again and not get divorced. Why? Because it's you. Stop being you, or be a better you. Go ahead, y'all. I might have got toxic.
No, you gotta really. I know guys I've never been divorced myself. I know guys who have. You got to really be down bad for a man to say, you know what? I am sick of your shit. I am going to file. You don't have to leave. I'll hit the eject button. Men will stay through all kinds of stuff. Sexless marriages, letting yourself go, not cooking, just all kinds of stuff. We will stick it through. You think he's happy? Nobody ever says, you know what, husband, sir, are you happy? I've never had a man say, hey man, I left my wife because I wasn't happy. The next time that happens will be the first time. And maybe I'll live to see it. I don't know. Stranger things will happen. But you have got to really be a piece of shit for a guy to say, you know what, man, I have had enough. He is at his wit's end, because I've seen it. The guys I know who filed, they've tried all kinds of stuff, and it's not going to work. They always say when a man gets married, or when at the beginning of a marriage, she's hoping that he gets better, and he's hoping that she doesn't get any worse. Worse is here. She hit rock bottom and she kept digging. So he's got to go. Like, I can't do this.
Wow.
And here's the other thing too, why a lot of men stay, because nothing is enforceable on her side. Like if she leaves, he can be compelled by the state to keep doing husband stuff, still pay for the kids, get her the house, all that good stuff. On the other side, he can't compel her to keep herself up. He can't compel her to cook. He can't compel her to fuck him. So he's like, I'm going to stay. He's gotten past all that stuff to, you know what? I gotta take the patient off of life support. We're done. So men they go through a lot before they decide, I've got to call the patient dead at 9:38 p.m. It took a lot for him to get there. And I know women don't see it that way, but that's the God's to honest truth.
Alrighty then. So first, let me go ahead and address one portion of this, which is the fact that we always talk about how 80% of women file for divorce, or 70%. And let me just go ahead and say that's because if you notice, and I will acknowledge before I say this, I will acknowledge that there are piece of shit wives, right? There are wives who can be pieces of shit, and that could cause a man to reach his breaking point. But I just want to address first that when we talk about marriage and why women file first, there's a plethora of reasons. It's not just, oh, I was not happy. It's usually because they're depleted from having the emotional labor that they're constantly carrying, doing the domestic labor that they're required to do, and working. So with that being said, it's usually because they asked and requested for years and years and years, and it went unanswered. And so that's why they're filing, which is why it's cheating, financial reasons, and some other stuff, right? Irreconcilable differences, which could be anything under the sun, which most people say, oh, that just means she wasn't happy. So I want us to stop assuming that women just don't file. They file for divorce because, oh, I'm not happy. That's not the reason. That's not the sole reason. There's a multitude of reasons. Now, let's get to the question at hand. Yes, if a man is filing for divorce, though, you have got to have fucked up something royally and completely, because, to be honest, while women will stay through cheating, women will stay through certain elements and certain parts of a man behavior before they finally say, hey, I'm going to chuck deuces. Men tend to be more tolerant because of the things that Delvin and Jay mentioned pertaining to like the sexless marriage. They tend to be more tolerant because they do have more of the consequences if there's a divorce that takes place, right? The responsibility does fall on the man. So the saying is cheaper to keep her is there for a reason, because it is cheaper to keep her. So if he's willing to pay the cost for the separation to be divorced, then my sister, there's some reflection that must be done on your part, unless he was one of those people who realized that, hey, we're not compatible. I don't want to drag this out. So let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to find happiness with somebody else. Or he's one of those who say, oh, I was never married. I shouldn't have got married. I wasn't prepared to get married. So there are those cases where it's not because the woman is a piece of shit. There are cases, but that number is actually kind of small. According to all stats, when they file, it's because they fed up, they hit their breaking point, and they just tired. And so if you make a man tired and he ain't the one filing, but then that's messed up, because what does that say about you as a wife? What does that say about you? And I wasn't actually expecting to be on this side of saying, damn, they might have a point. Because I was all rah, 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 rah. Like, hey, wait a minute. Women tolerate a lot of stuff too. But this ain't about the women. It's about the men. And the fact that less than 20% do file is a concern. And if it's not for those reasons, it's usually because they reached a breaking point. You've depleted them. And it's possible for us to deplete men. And we don't recognize that because sometimes we expect men to stay that strong, stoic character. And then because we expect that, we expect them to take our shit. Because, hey, you're a man, you're supposed to take that shit. And that's not true. It's a relationship, and we should respect both parties' part in that relationship. We should compromise. We should collaborate. We should do everything to make sure that this interdependent relationship grows and prosper. And if we can't address each other's needs, then that's an issue.
I do need to address something you said, SNL. You talked about the emotional labor, the request for doing things. You know, from what I understand, with my grandfather and those guys, when they were married, the deal was, you know, I go to the factory, I come home, I drop the check on the kitchen table, and I can go grab a beer and watch the game. Now, the burden of men as far as labor, I gotta, you know, drop the check on the table. I gotta be a comedian. I gotta be emotionally available. I gotta take you to get crab legs. We gotta go to the Maldives once, vacation twice a year out of the country. There's a lot more labor that modern men are doing that our fathers and grandfathers didn't do. So I just want to give a shout out to the men who are doing those things under stressful conditions and not filing. You guys are the real heroes.
Sir, let me go ahead and push back on your pushback really quickly before Nick jump in here. First of all, the reason why they just dropped the check off because your grandma have no place to go. Your grandma had no options other than perhaps domestic labor and so forth, and maybe some secretary work if she was working, right? Because most Black women did work, but your grandma couldn't have a bank account. Your grandma couldn't get a house without her husband co-signing. So that's why they took the check and didn't have to do anything and go get a beer, kick up their feet and watch football. So let's recognize that once you start having women started having more rights to certain things, right? Having ability to get their own bank accounts, get their own whatever. That's why the labor somewhat changed, right? Versus just, hey, let me just drop this check off and keep it moving. It's because we couldn't get no goddamn bank accounts.
So how do we always come back to this throwback argument? My God, can we leave some of these? I mean, it's always, well, your grandmama, my grandpappy, listen, man, they still here with you, enjoy their presence, okay? But let's not talk about the relationship we weren't there. Okay, I get what, I mean, let them be whatever they was, okay? Now, I gotta be honest, I can see a lot of truth in the statement and what you guys are saying, right? That the woman can be a big piece of shit for the man to be the one to file for divorce. But my question is rhetorical. If men are becoming, let's say, more emotionally intelligent, would it stand to reason that more men eventually would decide to file for divorce? Meaning that I think like this idea that, yes, men have tolerated a lot, right? That we're willing to just be there. But I think there's a movement afoot that maybe more men are less tolerating bullshit. Right? Like the more that you have this idea that you are the prize, I think the less likely that you are to accept bullshit. So I can see a man who thinks of himself highly enough, and as long as he doesn't have encumbrance like children, for example, can make the choice that, hey, you know what, I'm good on this. right? It doesn't mean that she's a piece of shit. I think what often happens is that women are not accountable. And so a man can try to have a conversation with her over and over, bumping his head, hoping to solve a problem, and it becomes something else. And instead of being accountable, she becomes defensive. And at some point in time, it's like, listen, I'm trying to come to you to solve this problem, but you're clearly not invested enough, or you're not invested in the context of us. Too many times, some of these relationships fracture because men wake up realizing that it's not an us thing. It's just me and you. I might be moving like it's an us because men have been conditioned to move in that kind of way. Because even if not we're providing and protecting, but just naturally speaking, a man is going to try to cover you if he loves you and he's with you. So there's a certain level of responsibility that we tend to carry in a relationship that doesn't seem to always be in existence when women are in relationships. Right. And so for that reason, some of us, the stand up kind of a dude mentality, if we have a responsibility, we're going to try to keep it. Right. And so I think for a lot of reasons, what you guys are saying are right. But I do also think that there are other non-piece of shit reasons that you'll find that men will leave these marriages for, especially if there isn't kids involved, which brings me to my second point. Right. Because you guys mentioned this as well, that if the man leaves a relationship, he's often going to be left out of the home and not being able to be with his child. Right. And so, yes, men can fight for custody and stuff like that. But there's many reasons why guys will stay because it just practically makes sense. Like, I'm not totally happy here, but for me, it's not really about my happiness. It's about, hey, I can see my kid. I can be responsible. Yeah, maybe get some every now and then. If I want to get some on the side, I can. Like, guys make very practical decisions all the time, which leads me to another reason why I think this is probably true is because as much as we hate to say it, and yes, men are emotional, but I think men move in logic and practicality more often than women do. Right? Because I've seen way too many women, because of the emotional reaction to a situation, decide to leave the relationship, later regret it because there wasn't a point where she asked herself, yes, this man did this horrible thing, but like 98% of the time he was a great husband. Maybe we can work through this. Right? And believe it or not, there are men who are staying even after cheating too. It's just that the perception isn't that, right? But there are men who are saying, hey, let's work it out. So I do think overall that there's merit to the idea that when men finally do decide to divorce, that, yeah, there's probably some credence and we're going to look at her a certain type of way, right? But I also think it's possible that there's going to be a point where this happily ever after thing is going to be a myth. It's going to be a thing that never existed for real, for real. Like, people will just probably look at marriage as kind of being, hey, we did 10 years, it was great. We did 15, it was fantastic. Wow, 15, we did 20. Right. And I think people are going to have to get used to that. And as men become more emotionally intelligent, recognize their value. That's one of the reasons why this whole men are the prize thing is dangerous for women. That's why women hate it. It's not because necessarily it's like, oh my God, we want to be the prize. No, it's that they recognize that if men up their value, then the little stronghold that they have or that they've had starts to get chipped away every step along the way. That's really the fear, just to bring it fully home, right, of the red pill, is that somehow men are going to wake up and realize you don't have as much leverage as you thought you did. You know what I'm saying? It's not especially for the ones that y'all want, because we can get the ones that we want. So yeah, I'm just pushing back slightly. Women don't have to be a piece of shit. Sometimes a man can just be aware enough that this is not for him. But a lot of times y'all are. And it's not because you're bad people. It's because you're bad listeners. Right? You lack empathy. You lack accountability. It doesn't make you a piece of shit. It just causes you to show up like one in a relationship. And hopefully that makes sense.
So I would be remiss if I don't mention the one other time that men leave in relationships and it's completely selfish is men have a tendency to divorce their wives when their wives have chronic illness. It shows 1 in 5 men will divorce their wife if the wife is chronically ill or have a chronic illness. Whereas for women is 1 in 34, the woman is more likely to stay and support that husband through his illness and stay in that relationship. So that's the one other area.
Hold on, say again. So women are more likely to stay?
Right. In 1 in 34, if the husband is the one who is sick, the woman is more likely to stay and support her husband throughout his illness.
I know why.
Because she's waiting for that check. Go ahead, knock off.
Because even when he's sick, he is still expected to show up and drop off some team. Y'all
No, I disagree.
Y'all
We're
be
not gonna
like,
go that.
y'all be like,
No.
no, I got a cough. I
No.
can't give you no head. What did you mean, bitch? I like the extra spit. What we talking?
No, we're not gonna go down that road with that. I just want to point out that's
You
another
pointing out
way.
S&M. I'm
No,
like,
I'm
Get in the
saying
car,
that when
SNM.
I
We're going
say
down
not
the
down
road.
that road, I'm talking about we're not gonna say it's because of sexual that she still wants the peen. Because technically, if we behave like some men, we can go get that peen
no,
somewhere
you
else.
didn't hear what I said. I'm saying, like, guys, let me know if I'm wrong on this, right? I
Go
can't
ahead.
recall ever a time where I've denied sex if my wife wanted it. That idea of denying sex in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't even really matter. Now, she might be like, oh, he's sick, I ain't gonna give him some. But she kind of rub up on my leg a little bit, you know, as Johnny go, look, you know. I'm saying in those situations, we're more apt to be like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna do my manly duty because we feel, so, at least I feel some type of way about not being able to take care of that if my wife wanted it. What I'm saying is a lot of y'all may not feel that way. Y'all don't even got to be sick. Y'all have had other things pop up to where you're just not in the mood. So I'm saying while you're quoting that statistic about the sick thing, it is also
Chronic
possible that
illness.
part of the chronic illness, it could be
Cancer.
because y'all tend to use more reasons not to perform your wifely duties than a man would when it comes to his. That's what I'm saying.
Lord have mercy. And look at
Yeah, I
you
mean, our
changing
only
now,
reasons are
whatever.
like, you know, pneumonia and gunshot wounds.
And even
being
then,
stabbed.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Throw some
even then, if
cocaine
you
on it.
stab me
You
in the
know what I'm
leg, I might be
saying?
okay.
Just, throw some cocaine on it.
So
Let's keep
cancer, leukemia, all that good stuff, y'all good. Y'all gonna be
Yeah, we staying.
satisfying your wife.
Yeah,
with.
just patch me
That's
up.
right.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
got
my
it.
dick
We
still
got
work.
it.
I mean,
I'm
if my
saying,
dick
right.
still work,
Wait,
If my
what?
blood is
dick
still flowing, I'm in business. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
My heart's
Put a
pumping. We
tourniquet
good.
on it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? We're
It's called-
not gonna talk about just sick dick. So we're gonna move on from this part of the conversation. I mean, honestly, like, yo, this episode was fire for so many different reasons, but at the same time, it was weird because we ain't done it in a while. I feel like, is it just me? Was it all right?
a little rusty. I think I was a little.
Good to be back, man. Good to be
It's
back.
like when you go on a trip. And you even, anyways, I was gonna go too personal. I'm gonna leave that alone. Any final thoughts before we piss anybody else off? S&M, First Lady in the building, holding it down. What's happening?
Oh my God. So first of all, this episode was interesting in the sense that, you know, we try to bring value to the people, you know, and so I appreciate the fact that we're always trying to bring value to the people. So my valuable thought for today before we close out is seed control. If you a high value man, there's no reason why you should not be practicing seed control unless the purpose of you not practicing seed control is because you want those kids. And if you do want those kids, then don't call yourself trapped later on because you wasn't trapped because you went in and spraying up the club and you knew that was a possibility of that. And on the flip side, women, please stop letting these men spray up your club and having all type of, and dropping kids when you haven't vetted them properly, please. Let's have some womb control. That's all I'm just saying also. So seed control, womb control. I'm a big fan of marriage before carriage as well.
Yes.
Yes. I want to co-sign what S&M said. I want to say marriage before carriage. Be patient. Like Dr. Umar said, wait your time. Okay, just sit there, just hold on, keep the faith. Ask questions if you need to, but be patient, ladies. Just be patient. Finally, I know I'm gonna touch on two things. Other thing I didn't say about the whole piece of shit wives who cause their men to get divorced is that maybe the reason there's so many more divorces for women is because women do divorce as a stunt, right? Well, we should get a divorce. Men don't do that. And then maybe that's why they end up in the courthouse more often. Y'all should cut that out. It's not a game. Stop play fighting with divorce because every time you say it, the man gets more desensitized. Eventually, he gonna be like, fuck it, let's do it. And then where you at? You in court. Go ahead. But I had a good time. Great show. Had fun. It was laughs. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see, I was in my feelings all through the whole thing. But yeah, man, let's do it again. When? Like next week.
Go ahead.
Yeah, next week works for me.
Me too. I'm gonna pencil it in.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? It was great to be back. I missed you guys. I had a blast. It was even more. Season 6, episode 1 has just been one for the books. I'm loving it, and I can't wait for next week. I wish we had like a midweek thing, but I'm thinking about the Sadia Khan thing. The whole scandal's blown up. You know what? I think she should lean into it. There's a lot of value and a lot of wisdom from being the side piece. They're keeping relationships together. And you know what? Some of you wives might want to humble yourself and ask some of these side pieces, why is my man so fascinated with you? What are you doing that I'm not doing? Can you give me some pointers? Can you give me some tips? Can you help a sister out? I think she might want to lean into that. And to explain to the sister, you know what? This is how the wives are failing. This is why the side pieces are in business. Women, you've been saying for a long time, side chicks are winning. You might want to ask them why they're winning. I think there might be a little humility in there, just a little bit. It might help. We'll see what happens, and we'll be back next week. I love you guys.
So, the second takeaway for me, I'm going back to Medina on this one, right, is there's a pandemic, an epidemic of mediocrity, right? Like, can you imagine if you're a mediocre wife, right, and you find out that your husband was cheating on you with a Sadia Khan, and you got the nerve to be upset? Like, where does that make sense? The thing is, she would not take accountability. She'd not be like, you know what? Yeah, she is fire. She's prettier than me. She's more well-spoken than me. She probably is giving better head than me. No, because he got to be the piece of shit, right? Because he cheated. But you didn't appreciate the fact that he was the same piece of shit that was dealing with your mediocre ass this entire fucking time, right? What I've realized is that there's a lot of mediocrity out here. And what's crazy is some of y'all don't know it. So you move through the world expecting life to show up for you in a way that is for exceptional people. And you're not those things. You know what I'm saying? What's even worse is that some of them even got the audacity to want to speak up in situations and environments that are clearly beyond their scope, their abilities, their wherewithal, right? And is it just me? Like, sometimes it's fucking annoying, okay? Keep y'all mediocre asses over there. But the biggest problem is when they don't know that they're mediocre, right? There's a lot of people in relationships showing up. I'm not even going to say that you have to be mediocre as a person, but how you're showing up in this relationship, it's giving mediocre. You know what I'm saying? How you're showing up at your job, it's giving mediocre. And y'all want exceptional outcomes for being mediocre. Stop it, okay? The best thing, and if the word mediocre bothers anybody out, then let me look it up real quick for y'all because words matter. It means of moderate quality. Not very good. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are of moderate quality, okay? If you have a problem with that, do better. Be better. Improve, okay? But otherwise, get y'all mediocre asses the fuck out of our way, okay? Because these mediocre podcasts out here is making it harder for people to find us, okay? And if you're looking for us, we're across all socials, so definitely check us out. Like, subscribe, follow, and all that good shit. And by the way, the only way we're going to get past this pandemic of mediocrity is to just say no. But on behalf of SNM, Delvin the Expert, Just Jay, and just me, the NIC, we'll see y'all next time. Same place, same time. We bike, bitches!
Peace.
Next time. Peace.